a lot of the random ones people would say for GIGABYTE Marines that they've actually had useful strategies with. Galio, I believe, is one that's been kind of a core that they've used in multiple different variations. So I think that is a good last ban there by Fnatic. Meanwhile, though, it is going to give over the Xayah once again in trade for Rakan, the duo.
Forces Fnatic to pick this Rakan because they're afraid of the Xayah Rakan combo. With Tristana actually banned away, it does limit some of the options left for Fnatic as we move into the later drive.
Most teams pretty happy to be forced into picking Rakan right now.
It's true.
The engagement really powerful there, as well as the ability to build nicely into an Ardent Sensor that you can apply to multiple people, by the way. You know, just E2 different targets, get the shields up on them, and then you yourself are also going to have it. Meanwhile, the Kayn is already locked in. That was a quick one.
Yep, he's back here. I do like the Syndra takeaway as well from Optimus there on the Fnatic side to join that Rakan, but Levi's saying, I'm good at a lot of champions, I'm especially good at this one.
I'm wondering if GIGABYTE Marines put more value on the Lulu right now, as it can be a little difficult to play into the Rakan, but it is a comfort pick that they've often fallen back to if they do want to put all that emphasis onto No Way.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely going to have to get that one in before the next round of bans come out, so they lock it here. They will have their Ardent Sensor for easy application as well. I really like that point, though, Patriot, bringing up Optimus. He has been performing very well on the Syndra, in the early phases of the game, especially versus these guys. So Cap's now going to steal that one away, and we'll see what GIGABYTE Marines end up with after round number 2 of bans.
Now, to give some context on the Rek'Sai pick, because we've been seeing it from Fnatic especially a lot throughout the group stages, the thing about Rek'Sai is she does not suffer as much as many of the other tanks in the current meta against early pressure junglers like the Kayn. She has good clear speed, she has good early trading, and she can detect those kind of invades thanks to the Tremor Sense as well. So I think that Fnatic are just saying, you know what, we need to make sure that Levi doesn't snowball dramatically ahead, and we have a fair amount of early pressure ourselves with the Rek'Sai pick.
Yep, Rek'Sai goes Warrior now, not going to be a tank. Let's see, mid laners, no surprise here, are being targeted. Optimus, we already mentioned previously that Kassadin was one of the most played champions for him as well. So it seems like the preparation this time around from Fnatic kind of making up a lot of ground considering how the first game went.
Interesting second mid laner joins as well. Talia taken away by Fnatic. Varus on the other side for GIGABYTE Marines, and kind of the big question is, will they ban another champion away from Rek? Because you think of Twitch, you think of a champion like Kog'Maw still available, and even something like Ashe, we've also seen today, but instead they'll pivot here and take away Gnar of all champions off of Soaz.
Now the thing is, for Fnatic, they can just lock in their AD carry here and try to give Soaz the counter pick, make sure that he's on something a little more comfortable. And Reckless, he goes back to the classic, something that he's had a fair amount of success with, especially when you think back to the Immortals game.
Yeah, thinking of comfort, that's exactly what it's going to be here for Reckless. And it's a lot of late game power. So GIGABYTE Marines, I feel like they're not, really scared of letting a game go late. They usually want to end them earlier anyway, so they're just going to try to play according to that timeline, especially if they lock in the LeBlanc here. Not going to be the case, though.
And Urgot comes up again for Archie. This is blind pick this time.
Well, now we see the reason for that Gnar ban, right? The mini farm, you do have a lot easier time versus the Urgot, so they're going to dare Soaz to see what else he has up next.
And I wonder what kind of counter pick you go for, because, gotta be honest, haven't seen a huge amount of Urgot, also haven't played against it much myself. It's very weak typically during the early stages of play. It does have a slight range, so he does pretty well into tanks. I saw the Kog'Maw, I thought it was going to be a Kog'Maw mid. No, they're going to be safe, they're going to go for the Corki. Does have roaming power, does also have decent laning phase, but mainly for Optimus, they're just picking something safe that he can get through laning phase with, going up against Brox.
And there you can see Fnatic, I think, now just saying like, well, I guess we pick a tank. And it looks like Cho'Gath is the solution there for Soaz, so Fnatic, very solid 5-man here.
I think Fnatic, they just want that front line. They want the safety with the Cho'Gath. They have plenty of damage with the Twitch, with the Syndra. Later on into the game, likelihood is that Brox is going to be dealing a lot of damage too, so just having that big, beefy front line is just something that makes their team fighting that bit stronger.
Definitely true. I would also say that the AoE silence for Cho'Gath is very difficult for Kayn to deal with. It's extremely annoying when that Feral Scream comes out. Kind of locks you down, especially if he's going to go with the blue Kayn again. If he goes Assassin, you're a lot squishier. You get locked out from your abilities for a second there, and you could go down.
What I am scared of for for Gigabyte Marines, though, is that their comp is relatively squishy. They don't have the three or double or triple tanked setup, which means that when you're looking at this Twitch, once he gets 2 or 3 items, he's going to be able to shred through this lineup because Urgot, yeah, he goes a little off tanky, but he's not going to be the same sort of front line that, say, a Maokai or a Cho'Gath is going to be.
Gigabyte Marines saying, late game, we're not going to go to the late game.
Yeah, that's true.
Big single item power spikes for a lot of the champions here. Trinity Force going to come through. Urgot very effective on #1, as well as Kane as soon as he transforms.
I mean, I think at this point we've seen a lot of different things from Gigabyte Marines, but from what we saw from them earlier in the first half of games, then of course just before in their game against Longzhu, this is a team that has a style that they love to play, and they've decided, you know what, we can play a little more standard, but we are going to play our way. And even if you take away Urgot and put a different champion in there, aggression is still the name of their game.
I think we've got a lot of eyes on Broxah here because, you know, this guy on the big stage, you know, rookie here versus Levi. Levi's gonna come with the invades. He's gonna come with the high pressure. The team is also going to assist him in early jungle confrontations. So it's going to be out, can this Rek'Sai get Fnatic through the early game to that kind of promised land of the late game you're talking about and multi-item Twitch?
And eyes will also be on Levi because he has been such a pivotal point of the early game success for the Gigabyte Marines. He's getting his comfortable Kane once more, and Fnatic, they're already grouping up for a very early level 1.
Well, Fnatic maybe going to face check here, but Soez moving around.
Levi's walking out of that bush.
Oh, this is so nice from Soez. Finds the Q, gets 3-man knockup, and then now the damage going to come out. That's first blood already. Levi goes down again, and now Archie could still be in trouble. Damage still laying in, but Soez can't land the rupture again, but he will force the flash.
Really good start here for Fnatic. They're able to get the flash out of Archie as well as get first blood down onto Levi. Unfortunately for them, the kill goes over to Jez's, but that means an even faster unsensor Gobi.
So many things were accomplished there from Fnatic. And again, we cop about the preparation for them versus this game. Coming in versus Gigabyte Marines, the bans were better, the level 1 was outstanding, much better. They get first blood, they get flash blown on the Urgot, who is very vulnerable to ganks, and they get the deep wards to see if Gigabyte Marines are actually going to send them to standard lanes.
And now Fnatic are copying the strategy from Longzhu, sitting in the jungle, waiting for Gigabyte Marines to come into their own half of the map, but it seems like the Gigabyte Marines have learnt from their previous game and will not give away any further kills.
Remember in the previous game, even after dying first blood, Levi did this exact same thing.
He did.
Moves to the enemy Raptors, goes ahead and counter jungle those. So he isn't going to get too far behind, as they do get wards on him, and they will see. Jungles will be traded. Soaz, though, he also saw that last game, and he's well aware that Levi is on the red.
Ooh, it's going to be close. Doesn't spot him, actually.
Because Optimus is coming up. You see, when your mid lane pushes, that's how you protect your jungle so much. That's why everyone has been talking about this buzzword of mid lane priority and kind of chanting this. It goes so far in the early game.
Now, Archie has no flash, but Soaz will get to lane a little bit later. The problem for Fnatic is they would love to move up top and try and get another kill onto Archie, especially in the early game. But with Broxah losing his entire top half of the jungle, it means that he's going to lose a lot in terms of experience and resources, meaning that that top lane gank is not looking as enticing as it previously was.
It's a really good point to bring up whenever you split jungle, because if a jungler wanted to go and try and prey on that flashless Urgot, you give up so many opportunities. There are not camps for you to fall back on up there, and it looks like Levi actually just going to recall off that level 3 counter jungling the red side and then go clean out blue.
Yep, got a Hunter's Machete to match the talisman, so time to turbo through the jungle for this Kane, as again have split that map. Archie, though, getting some early aggression here in the Urgot versus tank matchup, but Soez gonna play catch up as the CS crashes under the turret.
I also want to take this opportunity to talk about the Rakan Twitch bottom lane, because it's not a very conventional bottom lane that you see. A lot of AD carries were banned out, and Reckless did go for comfort, but typically in this 2v2 you would expect the Xayah and the Lulu to have pressure. But because of the early kill that Jez was able to get, they had the experience advantage. They got level 2 first, and now they're the ones with the push, along with the jungle control.
Yeah, it's also due to them splitting the jungle map. We talked about topside. The exact opposite is true whenever you're trading the map like that. So Gigabyte Marines should be well aware that there's a possibility of those early dives. They did play around it in the last game. They fended off Longzhu, even though it's very close. And it might be a similar case here. Broxah is on the bottom side. He's got flash available. Cap's even invading for some more vision.
Maybe some friends lining up for a dive, but Broxah Recalls back to base means that GIGABYTE's duo lane are safe for now. As Broxah also clearing up and getting that early Tracker's Knife plus a longsword. Looks like it will likely be Warrior again to kick things off for Broxah.
And Levi, he is just sticking around in Fnatic's top half of the jungle, making sure that Archie isn't at a risk of being ganked, but also just continuing to steal away the enemy chickens.
And again, Levi with his jungle timers, he wants to be there instantly as soon as Raptors spawn. One of the most important camps in the entire game. He's able to take away the second one, and that's actually quite big. Good trade here in the mid lane.
So fighting back as Levi actually back around. Might be trying for a gank here. Optimus playing a little too aggressively, I think.
Yeah, I think Cap's actually got a bit of a sense there for the possible bait.
Archie, though, he's kind of been the vulnerable one. Broxah finally able to make his way up there. There's one knock-up. Soa's going to try and chain it, but just going to walk forward instead. Archie should be absolutely dead as Soaz grabs the kill.
Soaz didn't use his W or Q because he knew that he wouldn't have the mana for the slow on his E, and he felt like that was the most pivotal point to allow Broxah to stay in range, to deal enough damage, to allow Fnatic to get themselves another kill.
It is delayed, but again, that kill is part of the repercussions of the early invade, where Fnatic, Soaz specifically, was able to blow the flash of Archie with his Rupture. Didn't have it this time around. Broxah was eventually able to get up there to punish it, but it does mean the bottom side of the map would be an option for Levi. He's actually going to abort mission as they saw Jez's back off.
So we can just have a look back, because you'll see here that Broxah, he even walked through the vision that was placed there for Archie, who's a little overextended. His flash was still unavailable, and here you can see the E being used by Soaz to just guarantee the triple slow, allowing Broxah to just chunk through the Yoga.
Yeah, and I thought the lack of mana on Soaz was going to be an issue for that gank, but it looked like they timed that one with the cooldowns already expended from Archie. That would be the only reason that you would say that he wasn't able to use any of his abilities to get out of there. Good timing definitely for them to actually bait that out. Broxah back up onto that side as well, though. Counter jungling a little bit, and he could return. This time, though, Archie does have his flash. Soaz could combo silence into Ruptures, though.
Oh, very nice Rupture, though, from Soaz. Finds it 1v1. Archie has to hop out of the way, but Soaz flashes in for the slow on the E. There's the flash up, but the knockup does connect by Broxah, and yet another kill.
Fnatic, or Soaz rather, he can no longer complain about assistance from his team because he's getting camped right now. Broxah, he's come top twice. We talked about how his impact is going to be so integral. They recognized Archie was a big factor in their win earlier in the day, and they're trying to shut that down as early as they can.
Great game plan coming out here, and movements here from Broxah. We talked about eyes being on him. Now he's level 6 on this Rek'Sai, and that was a big part of how are they going to get through the early game. Cap's now on the run, though.
Cap's trying to get out, but does have his summoners ready. Should be okay here. Finds a nice stun, and even though the slow lands, safe enough there.
No boots versus boots, the ultimate counter to Lulu in the early game. Cap's able to just walk out, isn't forced to burn any summoner spells. But speaking of, we also have to recognize the difference in the middle lane. Optimus running with the teleport, with the heal for Caps. Gives you a little bit more lane presence. The risk of an all-in from Optimus, maybe Levi, is a little bit harder, but Optimus is going to be much better set up for a split push playstyle later on into the game, especially with Archie on the other side lane throwing all that pressure.
And it's certainly been a very different start. The last time these two teams played, don't forget, it was a super chaotic game between the two. So have a look exactly what it looked like here. Just so bloody in this game. Much more controlled, particularly from Fnatic.
So many kills going over in favor of the GIGABYTE Marines. So many deaths also at 15 minutes. It was such a chaotic game. The goal difference was heavily in the favor of GIGABYTE Marines in the early game.
He's back!
And it looks like Broxah, he wants to try and get that same kind of kill score, except going in the favor of Fnatic as he makes his way up to the top lane again.
Yeah, they would have to push up this minion wave for him if he actually wants to go behind. Looks like he might even just be using Tremor Sense to see if there was any sort of Levi movement on the top side. And he's just kind of stationed there as a human ward, basically. Since they're not making any moves to push in the minions, it doesn't seem like they actually want to pull that off. Oh, here we go.
Yep, a little late, but better than never. As Archie dodges the first Rupture, that should call off the play. So it's going to take a little bit of return damage. With the silence actually into the flash knockup, they're going to take him down. So look at the ult, even doesn't, or did use it, but he still gets the kill.
Oh, Archie there, disrespect, wants to get off his machine gun after he dodges the initial gank. Broxah just flashes right on his face, though, and Fnatic get another kill on the top side.
4-0 in favor of Fnatic, 3-0-1 Soaz. He is extremely strong on the Cho'Gath. He's going to be a very effective front line, and even though Archie will eventually get to a point where he becomes a big side lane threat, Fnatic are in a much better position to utilize the strength of this Cho'Gath and force fights around the mid game.
Well, steal of the blue buff does it donate it over to Optimus, so Caps will be without one as Broxah takes Gam's blue buff away for himself. But again, this split map is just winning here for Fnatic.
And during all of this, yes, all the kills are happening on the top side, but we need to mention Caps, how he's playing this mid lane, and him avoiding enemy jungle pressure. Levi's been around mid for most of this early game, and Caps was one of the guys that was so heavily criticized by Fnatic when they were losing. You know, everyone was like, oh, he's getting camped, he's playing into a lot of these ganks. Here, he's actually absorbing pressure in this Syndra matchup and doing it with a CS lead.
And I feel like when you think about how a lot of the criticisms from the analysts was very much that GIGABYTE Marines are going to be the favorites because the mentality of Fnatic is fragile. We've seen a number of social media discussions, we've seen some interviews from some of the players where the team environment does not seem that positive. But you know how you can anti-tilt? The moment you see that top laner type, you just go up there, you ganks, you help their mentality. And with a 3-0 Cho'Gath, I feel like Fnatic are feeling in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, and the moment you see, hey, we can still get out of this group.
Yeah.
Well, certainly looking okay for them, but face check by Optimus into Broxah. Might be forced to burn the package. Does use it, but he wanted to use that one to roam down bot lane. Instead, it is just to save his life. And Fnatic getting further ahead, 2,000 gold and counting.
Yeah, roam's gone wrong right there. Not only does he not get to make a roam on the bottom side, but he's chunked out.
Ooh, that was juicy. Levi roaming in to try and get a kill. The polymorph lands on a Jezu, barely flash. Quickness is out of the way. Levi trying to get the down. Rector stands strong. Now let's hit ultimate rip solid. He's in the mix. Archie also came down as well, but Optimus also in the roam. Rector takes down Noah, but he dies to Optimus.
But here comes the rest of Fnatic.
All right, Caps lining it up, but Soaz not really that healthy. Polymorph is wonderful with the silence. Does land into Optimus. He flashes out. Just barely gets knocked up in the slope from Saya. Is maybe enough. Suppression Archie executes Broxah.
And it's GIGABYTE Marines getting the fantastic outplay onto Fnatic. They're the ones that come out with the kill lead, but Fnatic, they're not done just yet.
Oh, stun lands, Caps onto Archie, the tankiest member. The team CC is there into the bounce house, but Optimus still firing out of the way, and Archie, no, can't live through the feast as Soaz on a rampage where Caps flashes in, auto attack. No, he doesn't land it. Optimus barely lives.
And Caps uses his flash, doesn't get a kill, but Fnatic will equalize at the end of the day. Huge amount of action very early on, and neither team get the significant advantage.
Not only do Fnatic get extra kills here, though, they also have time reckless farming mid lane, and they get to push these minions into the turret. So there is also a significant minion toll after this fight. Let's take another look.
Now, GIGABYTE Marines are happy to force this fight because they know Levi is nearby. Instant double teleport from both sides is still going to result in a 3 versus 4 in favor of the GIGABYTE Marine. Even 5 because both mid and a top can TP in. That's why initially things look so dire for Fnatic. But then once Caps joins the fray, you think, oh, this could be very positive. But Archie's still surprisingly tanky, and Optimus does a fair amount of damage.
Yeah, Optimus splashes back into the brush here, and then Archie goes in, gets that fear beyond death ultimate, locks in the extra kill. Here is a good call by Fnatic to actually keep this up. When Caps is going to say, hey, I can land this stun, Urgot's a giant champion, and he's walking next to a wall, but here we go, round 2.
Back at it again, so he's going to try and go in onto Noe. The wild bird's already used the knockup. He's going to land a reckless, collects one, maybe make it 2 as Saya barely lives.
Soaz finally looks like he's having fun. Able to get the ultimate down there as well, and now!
Yeah. Alrighty, flash knockup, easy auto attack there for Broxah as Fnatic try and pressure this tower. And Kobe, you could not be more correct. Soaz, before this game, had 4 kills in the group stage. He has now doubled it.
Fnatic have said, you know what, Soaz, you've had enough pressure top lane. Now it's about time we revert to the Fnatic style and we start playing towards bot. He uses the TP to help try and save his team, and then he just stays there. He waits for No Way Inside to return. They have no summoner spells. They're able to get the collapse, and now Reckless is 2, 1, and 2.
With all those early kills, Soaz got such an early righteous glory, able to get the guaranteed engage off, just walks right up, gets the execute down as well, and he's just stacked more armor on top of this. So Corki really the only one that's gonna do a decent amount of damage to him. But here we go, righteous glory, Reckless locking up here, Jesus goes in, he gets the combo, and there's no chance. During the silence, pretty easy execute.
Yeah, the chain CC was very good from Fnatic. And then Broxah, did he need to flash? Probably not.
No.
But
Definitively not.
but he does end up using it. Could hurt him a little bit later on, but now we got to turn our attention to GIGABYTE Marines, because what we wanted to see from them was early pressure from Levi. Yes, he's been doing a great job of invading, stealing away camps, getting a lot of levels, but he's not translating that into any leads for the rest of his team. We haven't seen any ganks rather than a bit of pressure around the mid, and GIGABYTE Marines so far have not been able to stick to the playstyle that has gotten them so many advantages of the games today.
Just struggling to play catch-up, which is very rare for a team like the GIGABYTE Marines, but Fnatic are 4,000 gold ahead as they look to continue to push and pressure that advantage.
Again, that's why we keep hammering home the preparation and how important it is, especially against a team like this. Fnatic now going to start up this Rift Trail. Let's see if GIGABYTE Marines are going to have anything to say about it. They're very far behind in gold, and that has translated into a lot of completed items on the side of Fnatic, whereas GIGABYTE Marines are mostly sitting on components. That combat effectiveness might come into play, but the surprise factor also is a very big part of these skirmishes.
A lot of unspent gold here for both sides, but Fnatic again just happy to play their style and their pace. Rift Herald looks to go uncontested as Gam just can't really afford to make an aggressive move.
It's very difficult for them to contest this as well, because top was just pushed in by Reckless and Jezzes. There's also a huge number of wards invested around the blue buff of the GIGABYTE Marines, and if they try to face check, there's the risk of them getting picked off by Jezzes. You also had Cat pushing a mid, and the whole setup for Fnatic was good enough that GIGABYTE Marines really couldn't answer.
So it's again looking to make a play, this time mid lane. Kind of translate that advantage across the map, but Levi's here for a 2v2. Oh, Soaz finally reveals himself, but the package use there protects him from potential stun. Levi not so lucky. Rupture's not going to hit him, but Levi does flash out of the way. Cap's throwing balls over the wall to try and get the kill, but does not land it.
Yeah, it looked like Fnatic, Soaz thought that they were going to combo ults and both use them right there for big burst, but Caps didn't use his. Might not have been close enough, I'm not quite sure, but they are unable to get it off, and they don't get the kill onto Levi. That was split seconds, though, because Levi went in there blind. If he had gone in before Soaz moved up, he definitely would have got comboed.
Almost certainly, and they still get a flash out from Levi. It's going to make his ability to pressure that much harder, and Fnatic, or Broxah rather, he's still feeling confident. No, he's going to stick around. He needs to be careful here.
Does have ulti, and Summoners not going to force them off as they try and push down this top outer turret.
Now you can see Caps, he moved up through the river after he pushed mid, but because he spent so much time in the river, that's allowed Optimus to now push the wave back in, and he now has that window to move up towards top lane.
All right, this is a small window. Reckless would be the target. Optimus is moving up, and Fnatic do see him. Teleport comes in too. They're going for it.
That might actually call off the play, but Gam looking to force 5 members up here to the top side. TP already cancelled, though. Archie just couldn't make it, and now Optimus may be caught out. The Rupture will be dodged, but forced to flash away from Caps' stun.
That was a very far away ward from the GIGABYTE Marines. They decided to just cancel it because they think they saw a few extra members of Fnatic. Soaz commits to the TP, though unfortunately neither team really gets anything.
Yeah, during this bottom side, as you said, Archie cancels his TP, Soaz commits to his, so he's pushing on the bottom side, but Fnatic have the Rift Herald, so they can power through mid. See if they can get anything after this first turret here. There goes Soaz!
Yep, so is in Jens as well. Optimus going to be the target for the charm. Not going to barely connect, but Optimus just has nowhere good to go. Broxah ultim. Blast go! Oh my goodness, that stun as Soaz grabs the feast.
Here comes Urgot down through the jungle, but he might just run into multiple Fnatic members.
1v2, 1v3, 2v3 as Levi's back to help his teammate, but Fnatic out and away over the Dragon Pit.
Fnatic walk away with a kill, and they get a lot of damage down onto this mid-tier 1. GIGABYTE Marines are struggling to deal with the pressure, the proactiveness, the early game leads that we saw from them get against Longju are not happening right now, and the further they fall behind, the harder it's going to be to execute this composition.
Something as well with this composition for the Marines, they don't have a lot of easy crowd control to land. They don't have a lot of initiation, which has been something very prevalent in a lot of their compositions. The mobility's not really here, the engage is not really there for the Marines, so that's why this seems like a game very, very different from the typical GIGABYTE Marines game. And Fnatic are definitely taking advantage.
You have to remember that when GIGABYTE Marines played this earlier in the day, they had the Ashe. And while things were a little slow, they had that engage opportunity. And now we're going to look back at this replay. Remember that Optimus had used his flash prior when Fnatic made that play up top. With the Righteous Glory on Soros combined with the silence, there was nothing that Optimus could really do to get out of that situation, and he ends up losing his life.
Well, again, GIGABYTE Marines, just not a situation this team is really used to playing in. They've barely been behind at 20 minutes in this game. They will be significantly behind. In fact,
except for the long shoe game.
I mean, obviously, yeah, that game was bad, but there was 2 games where they've been behind at 20, and every other game, with now the exception of this one, most likely they have been behind. So, and again, an aggressive team that is not used to this sort of position, and now with objective spawning, Cloud Drake back up, Baron spawning for the first time in 30 seconds, Fnatic with so much gold across their team, just patiently taking everything away.
Fnatic really have a pretty easy checklist as far as how to finish out this game now. Well, maybe not so easy taking the blue buff. He'll eventually
It's going to tilt him. That's it. Fnatic's done.
That one moves back to the top of the checklist. Next is going to be this Cloud Drake. Maybe there'll be something that GIGABYTE Marines can actually cook up here where the vision is timed out a little bit on the top side. But for the most part, Fnatic have pretty good early warning systems to see what GIGABYTE Marines are going to try and set up. But anyways, Fnatic have all these guaranteed, Soaz with the Righteous Glory. He can go for the engage. There's crit multipliers already on Reckless, and he is ready to fight.
I feel like Fnatic's main goal will be to try and take down that tier 1 in the top, or play around that Cloud Drake. You can see that a lot of their vision investment is being put towards the top side of the map, and with Soaz's teleport down, they're just being a little patient for the time being. Soaz is already grouped up, he's trying to use this window, and he's now the one being
knocked back by the package over. Capson's a massive stun onto 2.
They see Reckless top, so GIGABYTE Marines want to force this, but they're just so far behind and they don't have any engage.
Exactly that, Kobe. They have no real way to actually kick off the fight. Remember, they had the Ashe earlier in the day, and now they're with Desire. They still have the Urgot, but there's no reliable way to say, okay, let's make the fight happen. Let's get these early leads.
And sideline Reckless takes the top outer turret as Fnatic even threaten the tier 2 here in mid. Levi being annoying, dashing back around, but Caps is very strong at this point on Syndra. Doesn't even quite have 2 items finished and already dishing out so much damage with the Syndra there. With 3 assists, it's starting to snowball and a very, very heavy CS lead.
And I feel like now that we're at 21 minutes into the game, we're seeing the difference between running a playmaking mid that has a lot more CC and things like the Rise and the Syndra for Optimus, compared to someone like a Corki who is very safe, a lot more defensive, but it makes it harder for Levi to really camp and set up that mid lane for success.
Yeah, if GIGABYTE Marines are going to make something happen, it has to be preying on the split up members of Fnatic.
Yes.
Like right now, when they're taking multiple objectives at once, would be the only opportunities, but again, the Fnatic guys are just not giving them enough space to get in there. Levi's trying to poke here across the wall, hasn't been able to transform, and the Drake is already down.
Now, both teams do still have good engage, but no follow-up.
Yep, Caps backed off, but the turret does go down. Cloud Drake also feasted on by Soaz, so he gets a stack, and Fnatic, of course, get their second Drake in this game, and GIGABYTE Marines are pushed very far back towards their base. Again, not a whole lot of room left to defend as Fnatic sieging down here on the tier 2. Ooh, Caps may be caught. Good stun back. Levi leaps in, gets the W down. Heel burnt there by the Syndra. Jensen's there. Big charm there, landing on Optimus. The Caps with a sliver of health gets sniped by a rocket. Now Optimus getting chased down. It could be a trade. He will fall down as the mid laners go away.
And now Fnatic with 2 kills, one of them being onto the jungler, have their eyes on the Baron. They have the tanky Cho'Gath. They still have their smite. It's going to be difficult for the GIGABYTE Marines to oppose.
Yeah, the ult should come back up for Soaz in time. There's plenty of vision. Teleport comes down. The Arch is going to face check.
Oh no, not a very bad time as he leaps away, but Broxah looking for the knockup is not going to land. A good flash from Archie, but I'm not sure that's enough. The rest of the team though here to reinforce. The Rockstar lands a Fnatic, hoping to try and fight, but 3v4. GIGABYTE Marines push them away.
Good defense there from the GIGABYTE Marines. That was almost this game exploding wide open. It's still going to be very difficult for the Marines to hold on to vision around the Baron, but at least they didn't give it over right then for themselves. Levi also doesn't get his ultimate off, and they're unable to burst down Caps before the defense arrives from Fnatic. Yes, he does get the last rocket, and they finally get the kill, but in the end, that is a 2-for-1.
And this is one of the best case scenarios for the Gigabyte Marines, trying to find someone out of position that they can get a quick pick on, but when you're a Corki and a Kane, you don't really have the CC to lock Caps down and instantly burst him out. Levi, I believe, still yet to even, oh, he now has completed his Shadow Assassin, or reached Shadow Assassin rather, so he's gonna go for that kill heavy, but before that, he didn't have the damage and Caps walks away scot-free.
Post 20-minute transformation feels real bad on Kane, but you know, that's the story of being behind a game for this long. Now Fnatic setting up around Baron once again, and it's going to be some dangerous territory.
Levi, yep, just poking around again, using that W to try and get some damage in, but it is important to re-emphasize just how far behind Gigabyte Marines are. Fnatic are 9,000 gold ahead at the 24-minute mark, and that's with only 4 turrets taken and a Baron still on the table to be taken for the first time in this game. Gigabyte Marines are in a woeful position, and if they're going to win this game, they will have to outdo Longju, who they just played, and try and mount a comeback.
Gigabyte Marines look like they're in an okay place as far as the overall group, though. We might get our exciting 3-way tie. Even if they lose this game, they still have more chances. Fnatic, though, would have to put the nail in the coffin first to actually make that one force. Here they go for it.
Levi, no flash, but can walk through walls. Oh no! Stun not going to connect, but he's going to get knocked back on. Broxer does actually get ulted up, and a charm from Jensen's instant and reckless. Able to find the kill. Fnatic straight to Baron.
Jungler is down, TP on Soaz, but he's just going to walk up and group with his team. Optimus has the TP, Gigabyte Marines likely to try and answer. Let's see if they can stop it.
And they have to do something here, but the Baron is getting burnt down so quickly, and no way. Just trapped there. Optimus not even going to walk up. Gigabyte Marines say we can't do anything, so Soaz will get yet another stack as he saunters over to the Baron and has a quick bite to eat.
Fnatic, they found a pick onto Levi. There was no Zhonya's for Reckless to be worried about. He ends up getting the pick, and Fnatic now 10,000 gold in the lead. We talked about how, as this game progresses, it's going to be harder and harder because champions like the Twitch become even more difficult to deal with. And while Gigabyte Marine scaling is not that bad, Fnatic are now in a point where they can actually just break into the base and start closing out this game.
I mean, 10,000 gold lead is definitely enough for people to start talking, like in the last game when Gigabyte Marines had that over Longju, about that possibility. Here we go, though, is another look at the pick. Even though you get your ult off, there's no way he's getting out.
More than enough CC there, and then Fnatic make the simple play, just walk back to Baron, and Gigabyte Marines don't even contest it now. Again, the theme of Group B seems to be Infernal Drake, as there will be one spawning for Fnatic, their 3rd overall if they take it, but right now with Baron buff up for 2.5 minutes, it's time to take some turrets.
Now they have the teleport on Soaz, but they're just grouping him up with the team, using him as a zoning tool to force the Marines away from the next objective. Fnatic, they're now grouping up 5 members strong in the bottom lane. They could just try and force a dive if they're feeling confident.
Levi recalls, but he was pushing topside. Looks like this bottom inhibitor turret is in dire straits. Archie gonna get ulted up by Cap, and that's enough with a Prey Seeker to give him a kill. Busting open the bot side of the map. Huge scatter there from Cap to zone them off, and Fnatic waltz in and take an inhibitor turret.
Reckless still yet to open. He's looking at Levi. Does he want to do it, though?
Oh, he does. Skirting around the vision, now opens back up, 1 crit. Soaz tries to go forward, Rupture's gonna miss. Levi with a good little juke. The Fnatic still not done. Looks like they don't have any other entry points, so he's gonna have to walk back and push another wave.
The problem for Fnatic is there are no waves for them really to move to right now. Mid has been pushed up, top is pushing against them as well. They're likely just waiting around for the Infernal Drake to spawn, and then they can look to reset. They're happy with the kill, they're happy with the inhibitor, and Gigabyte Marines are struggling for answers.
Take another look here at the setup. It's going to be the stun from Syndra, Rupture from Soaz hit at almost the exact same time. But then just all of the projectiles flinging at the Urgot, and he is not fed enough to survive it.
So it looks like you may collect yet another stack. Have a quick check in of where he is sitting. Looks like 9, make it 10 as Soaz takes down the Infernal.
He is a well-fed Cho'Gath, 505 from Soaz. Arguably one of his strongest performances of the group stages, and Fnatic on track to work towards that tiebreaker. They will still rely on Immortals losing to Longju later, But what an exciting day it has been. So many upsets back and forth. Fnatic having an extremely clutch game against Immortals as well. And I feel like this has been one of the cleaner ones for Fnatic.
It does feel like all signs are pointing towards the three-way tie.
Yep.
And we're like, this is destiny. We'll see here, though. And again, like you said, Immortals do still have the chance if they could beat
so do GIGABYTE Marine.
Well, we'll have to see because Fnatic on a rampage this game. Going to look to take down another turret. Live again trying to poke in out of the wall, but he's not offering much defense really as Fnatic deal with Baron Flip for a couple more seconds. Stunland in onto Archie. Doesn't eat Snowball to the face once again, but Fnatic, again, no need to rush anything.
Just taking their time. They don't want to make the over-aggressive play. They don't want to throw the game at this point.
Soaz is still tanking, by the way, but I don't think he really feels much. Inhibitor turret is going to get popped as the Reckless grabs the last hit there. Fnatic still going forward. Reckless still so strong as well. We've talked so much about Soaz, but all of Fnatic just have so much gold.
So as heals to pull back up off his Warmogs after taking that turret almost all the way down to 30%. And Fnatic are able to just stick around, grab the mid and hit. Checklist item number 3 is going to be top lane. They can just rotate up to those minions, rinse and repeat with the exact same steps. The only thing here would be, will GIGABYTE Marines pull the trigger? Because 3 inhibitors being down would pretty much be the death sentence if you've got almost a 15,000 gold deficit here. So even though the chances are slim to win this fight, you kind of pull the trigger with whatever you can get.
Well, it's Fnatic going to pull it first there. Groot polymorph there onto Soaz, but again, still happy to take the turret up. It goes down. Archie gets stunned. But Soaz just trying to keep everyone away. Wild Growth already burnt. Huge double charge there. Massive team fight start there for Jesus and Fnatic. Leap forward. Broxah gets the kill onto Kane, and everybody's flashed in. Archie, the only one left as Broxah finds the final execute with the ulti. And Fnatic, they needed to win, and they have done it.
Now their fate will be in the hands of Longzhu Gaming versus Immortals coming up next.
Fnatic needed Longzhu to beat the GIGABYTE Marines. They now need Longzhu to do the same against Immortals. Everything relies on that tiebreaker scenario for Fnatic to be able to make it out of groups.
I don't think any team at the World Championship would say 2 for the dream in the group stage, but Fnatic, they've done what they could. They expected to lose to Longzhu. They went 2-1, which is kind of what they needed to do, and now they'll just have to wait and see.
So many Europeans. Pick'ems is about to be saved.
But the GIGABYTE Marines are also saying the same thing, 2 for the dream.
Well, Immortals again could also be saying the same thing, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Fnatic have to be lauded for how much they took away from an abysmal week 1. So much improvement. Again, we heard from Reckless expecting to lose to Longzhu and did so pretty handily, but the way they have played, they've prepared for this week and done what they could to put themselves in the best position. This is it for Fnatic at this point. They can hold their heads high no matter how the last game breaks.
And I feel like this is the best representation of Fnatic that we have seen so far during the World's group stages. They had a very difficult week 1. They showed a better performance against Longzhu. Not that it was that much harder to perform better compared to their week 1 performance. And then slowly they've been making their way up. But now, if they do get that tiebreaker, it's going to be extremely difficult because Immortals, they still seem to be the stronger team in that 1v1 earlier on.
This group is a very exciting group. If we end up getting that tie, we might not. The chances definitely are there. I would mention that Soaz also didn't die this entire game on the Cho'Gath. 6-0-9 for him.
Redeemed.
Definitely having a lot better time.
Well, they're going to need that. Perhaps the Fnatic do manage to take down the GIGABYTE Marines. So for that, let's head over to the analyst desk for more on that game.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. We're going to try and make sense of what's happening here on the stage at the 2017 group stages.
Best team in the world, man.
I guess. I don't know. Longzhu struggles against the GIGABYTE Marines. Fnatic comes in and smashes them. Help me make sense of this.
I think a lot of it comes down to draft against GIGABYTE Marines. One of the big things Fnatic did here that I really like was take away Syndra early, because I think Optimus and Levi together is a super good mid-jungle combination that they've been using to get early leads with. When you take the Syndra away from Optimus, he doesn't have lane pressure anymore, and he doesn't have an easy CC setup, and that actually went in favor of Caps.
But I also felt like the preparation for the Marines draft was just really bad. From blue side, you're banning out Janna. Typically, it's a red side ban. I get that one. But Tristana against Reckless? Twitch has clearly been the favorite. Then Sejuani, they even picked early game champions like Lee Sin and Elise. There is no way they're going to pick Sejuani. And then picking an all-marksman composition with no frontline, no engage. What are they doing? Of course they're going to get rolled over.
I also feel like once lanes start going poorly, like as you said, mid lane is not really a priority lane when they don't have the Syndra. Top lane is losing pretty hard. Then it becomes very hard for Levi because you don't have lane priority. You're not actually involved in nearly as many skirmishes, and you can't get those early transformations.
You talk about early leads. This is how it was done.
This is just Archie with a straight need to feed. Without flash from the level 1, he got camped by Soas and Broxah, and it was easy as 1, 2, 3.
And I think we're seeing again, when you don't play GIGABYTE Marines first in the day, you get a bit of time to kind of adapt and look at some of the picks they're showing, because Immortals didn't know what to do against the Urgot.
There's more.
This one is rough. He actually got out on this one. And then he starts chasing Soas.
Yeah, but your Urgot, man, you got to get back in there. You got to get some kills.
Okay,
You have to. You have that ulti, man. You have that ulti.
No.
It's that I dodged the first skill shot, so now what else you got? Come at me. Oh, wait, you got like 2 levels and a whole bunch of items on me. Yeah, came
Just
back
a prank,
to fight him. But yeah, we do see to some degree, you know, from the GIGABYTE Marines, the lead that was built there might come from some of the inexperience on these big stages, right? At a certain point, Archie needs to say, I have to be willing to sit under my turret and stop feeding the heck out of the massive tank on the opposing team when we're stacked with 80 carries. I mean, he got to go Ninja Tabby into full armor.
He's busy typing, where's my jungler? What is he doing? That's how it goes every time.
I mean, Soas actually did a fantastic job, I think, as well, taking that lead, going to other lanes, finding engages with the Righteous Glory. Soas, to his credit, yes, he had a lot of help getting to the advantage, but he took that advantage and he was able to stay very involved throughout the game to find more fights and really did do a good job.
Well, just to contrast how much better this game was, before this game, he had only acquired 4 kills in every other match combined, where he had 6 here. So he really turned the franchise around.
He was saving those kills for later.
Yeah. Look, as we're moving into the possibility of a 3-way tie, more and more so, I want to take a look at how this game broke down overall so that we can kind of look at Fnatic and how they might contest Immortals and GIGABYTE Marines moving into a 3-way tie at the end of the day. We'll take a look at the gold graphs here in just a moment, or rather the multi-game breakdown.
Yeah, because this game here was honestly very easy for Fnatic to win. Like, after they identified, okay, Urgot is really easy to gank, just camp him. The Kayn wants to power farm instead of maybe chain gank because he couldn't really go anywhere. Bot lane, there's a Lulu, you don't really want to gank for her specifically. Mid lane is a Corki, you can't gank for him either. So Levi didn't really have a whole lot he could do in the early game, and he wasn't able to get super fit like we saw against Immortals.
But that gold graph right there, right? That's the kind of gold graph we talk about all the time, is picture perfect. So for Fnatic, in a day where they seem to kind of be ramping up, again, we've seen the emotions of the players on the stage. Let's remember, the casters say 2-4 is not the record that any team is necessarily shooting for here. But of all the teams here that might end 2-4, you probably want to be the team that put together 2 wins in week 2.
Yeah, I mean, the mentality of the teams, and we have to still take into consideration Immortals could beat Longzhu and still get out of second place without tiebreakers. But in the situation that there are tiebreakers, Immortals is going to have to play tiebreakers after losing 3 games, 2 of which were very winnable, 1 of which they basically had won and then threw completely away. And when you talk about mentality, the mentality of Fnatic coming into this game, you know, on today, like, they have got to be riding high now. They've won their last 2 games. They've got to be feeling confident going into any potential extra games.
But they've shown a lot now. The Syndra priority, especially for Caps, have been very good. The Rek'Sai pick multiple times for Broxah as well. Same build every single time. Be super active early on. There are things you can now try and take away if you are Immortals going into this potential tiebreaker game. But obviously, let's just see if they can do anything against Longzhu. I'm not expecting it. So I'm looking forward to the tiebreakers.
Well, let's talk about the Immortals versus Longzhu game for just a moment, because the tiebreaker hinges on the results of that. Obviously, everybody and their mothers is going to favor Longzhu coming into this matchup. Where are we looking for Immortals to shore up weaknesses shown earlier today and maybe take down the #1 Korean seeded team?
Sure. Where?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Oh, bring out the big pen right there. We got to get the pencil out.
Get the big pencil out. The bot lane, right? Cody's son had the big mechanical blunder today. His job gets no easier here up against Prey and Gorilla. I think that's where I'm looking, if you're going to look at any one individual to step up for Immortals.
Belter as well.
Belter,
I mean, we talked about how consistent Pole Belter was at the top of the day.
We
You know,
jinxed
the
him.
casters talked about it. Where has he been today, right? He has been getting slammed in lane. He has not been able to find success in the team fights outside of lane. So I think across the board, the team needs to show a massively higher level if they want to compete against Longzhu, because even last week when they had a decent early game, they were playing much better and they still ended up losing that game pretty one-sided.
I don't know how we got here. I didn't expect to get